In another part of the world where GAGE works, it's a very different education story.
كان الأوضاع حرب فما احسن نعيش هنيك فجينا الأردن.
14-year-old Leila is a Syrian refugee, now living in Amman in Jordan, where her family rent an apartment. GAGE researchers have been following her story for the last few years.
جدتي وكنا عايشين بيت كلنا مع بعض كبير شوي.
Like all Syrians in Jordan, Leila can go to normal state school, although literacy and numeracy rates are still low. School in Jordan is split into 2 shifts, and refugees are relegated to the afternoons, where there are often fewer resources.
هيك.
As well as that, though, in the mornings, Leila's been going to UNICEF's Makani community programme. She explained it to GAGE researchers.
تعاملهم مرة لطيف المعلمات يتكلمون منيح يعطونا دايما.
Teachers at Makani, they speak really nicely to us and give us advice on how to have a better life. You can love them very easily because they are so nice.
أول شيء بلشت فيه لحتى يمكن كنت لأني ما كتير أعرف.
When I was young, I joined Makani because there were things I didn't know, like speaking English. My mum told me to go there. I learned English really well, and I'm continuing now. They really helped me.
كثير منهم
My
واستفدت.
name is Kenan Madi. I work with UNICEF Jordan, managing what we call Makani program. Makani in Arabic mean my place or my space. So
Kenan Madi from UNICEF in Jordan explains what Makani is.
it's like a community program which consists of around 140 community centers called Makani centers. On those centers we provide all what UNICEF does under one roof, meaning we provide different services like education, under the theme of learning support services. We provide child protection services. We also have the skills building theme, and that's mainly focusing on adolescents and youth for children above 13.
For Leila, it's had a positive impact. She now has big plans for her continued education and the future. But the journey to get here from her home country of Syria has been hard.
متذكرة أول ما كنت صغيرة.
I remember when I was young, there was no war, everything was normal. After that, the war came and the bombs started. We were very worried one of us was going to be caught in the explosions and die, so we came to Jordan. Before, I was living with my extended family in my grandparents' house. It was a big house. When we came to Jordan, I was really shocked, and I said to myself, how can we leave Syria because it was my home country?
Despite all this and being just 14, Leila has a positive outlook about life in her adopted country. She says the Makani classes have really helped.
لاحظت إنه ساعد بعض البنات حكوا لنا بعض أشياء إنه هيك حسنوا
I've noticed that Makani has helped a lot of girls. It has made some people's personality much better. Some of the people who went were really angry and had no self-esteem. They got into a better place where their mood was really good. They made them happy. Some of the families tell their children that they are idiots and they can't finish their education. At Makani, we are told, no one is an idiot. Everyone is smart, you can succeed. You just have to try. I really noticed this in Makani.
Leila sees Makani classes as a great way to help integration as well as providing aspirations for a settled future.
خلوني أحس إنه عن جد الأردنيين مرة لطيف.
For me, Makani has made me love Jordanians and show me that they are nice. They tell us there is nothing called a refugee. Everyone is the same. They love everyone. They love Syrians as much as they love Jordanians. For me, they changed me. I had no confidence in communicating with Jordanian people, but afterwards I felt I could really talk to them and I realised they're nice people. I used to love Syria, but Jordan is now my second country. Now I'm used to my daily routine here and now consider Jordan my second home.
Leila now has big plans.
خلوني ما بعرف فرحت إنه يحسنوا يغيروا الشخص.
I was so happy that Makani were able to change people. For me, they told me how to invest time. I want to be an astronaut. I love space. I love the stars and everything in space. I'm always looking on the internet to research all of this.
أمي تعرف كنت أحكي لها دائما أشياء هيك عن
My mum knows about my dream because I tell her everything I've found out on the internet about space. She encourages me and tells me to move on with education. It is not an impossible thing to do. I'm good at school, and I'm very good at science. She sees my results and says that I could be an astronaut, and it's not impossible if I work hard.
Throughout our research, we have seen how it does change the attitude towards education, the attitude towards the community and relationships inside throughout Makani. Sarah Al-Wadi is a GAGE researcher in Jordan. She's speaking to hundreds of adolescents on the ground to find out many aspects of their lives, including education and extra support schemes like the Makani program. I remember the first year we started working, when we speak to an adolescent, he can describe all these words, life skills and empowerment and self-care, self-love, self-confidence. These words weren't common. And few years now, participating especially in Makani, we can hear all of this. They could speak clearly about their emotions. They could speak clearly about their needs, about their demands. They can demand clearly their rights. It is quite different. We can all see the huge impact, not only us. Despite positive reviews, schemes like the UNICEF Makani program are not widespread resources for refugees around the world. Here's UNICEF's Kenan Madi again.
I think it's a new model where actually, like any other sector, you have people who are used to do the business in a specific way. People get used to what they do, and it becomes suddenly the norm and the trend, and it's like anything, like community behavior. It becomes like it's like any sector. You come and you start the work. Those are the SOPs. Those are the work you have to done. When you are responding to emergency, you do this. When you are responding to development, you do that, and all of that. However, here in Jordan, we had an innovative team who were thinking about things differently from children's perspective. And they need a lot of things. They are here in a new country. They escaped a war or a disaster or whatever they are coming from. They need different areas. And actually, they should be the one who decide what they want. One service is not enough. All of us will need to have this holistic approach, specifically when you are vulnerable and you are coming from a vulnerable background with a very weak support system. There's no really support system at the house, at the neighborhood, at the street, at the family. So you need to come to that center and choose what they want, or actually take all what is there to help you to reach your full potential.
Kenan says he believes schemes like Makani can help adolescents take different life paths.
What I say to our colleague sometimes, because we question, what are we doing really? Are we helping those vulnerable community at the end of the day or not? So this is a big question for anyone which working in this sector will have. And I say we are giving a hand for those people who need just to be grasped and go to the opportunity. In a matter of days or months, a short term, they can be dragged in a totally different direction. Someone who has the potential to be a very successful person could be ending up in a vegetable market, just moving the cart at a 13 years old age. What Makani is doing now is we are doing what we call the Makani graduation strategy, where we are referring those adolescents and youth to the TVET, to the technical and vocational training. And you say, okay, you are working now at a young age, but let's do this right. You are now 13. Wait a second. Let's build your capacity. Try to put you in a school. And you are 15 years, 16 years, 17 years old now. Good. Let's go to this course 6 months and get a certified training, and then get a better job, a job actually which has terms and conditions.
Kenan says a new programme brought in during COVID to help with computer and digital skills is proving successful.
It's a game changer, by the way. So if you are in a refugee camps, if you don't have access, you definitely don't have a computer at home. You definitely, if we don't do this access to them, they will definitely not be able to deal with a computer for the whole of their life. Imagine how those children are feeling that where the world, and they can see the world heading more toward digital, and they cannot have this access. Imagine how traumatizing is this, honestly speaking. I mean, one of the things which we got to know through, by the way, the impact and research, that actually, and we were not actually aware that they are aware, that the adolescents and youth, they were talking about how this should be their basic rights now.
Kenan says capturing what the refugees themselves actually want, as GAGE is doing, is crucial to UNICEF and future education programmes around the world.
Without evidence, our work is incomplete. And it is not actually important, it is critical. It's the ABC. So we need to listen to the beneficiary from a different length. So when someone like GAGE comes and they have their own developed and advanced framework, because it's very important to hear from those adolescent and youth, what does those services or this program Makani is doing to them, and why it is important, and where we can do and better. And where, again, when you talk about the GAGE, it's longitudinal. So this is very important, because many of course, all of us, we do evaluation, all programs, but we know the impact now, but we don't know how this impact will continue after 3 years. And that's very critical and very unique to the ODI GAGE context, by the way. I think we get a lot of requests from other countries to understand the Makani and how they can replicate it. Impact and evaluation and research will help us to replicate that in case it proves successful. So far, it's proving so. I know that specific country in the region, they are really thinking about it. I mean, we hope there will be no emergencies in the world, but in any new, at least, emergencies, people will be thinking about how they do businesses better.
The Makani programme in Jordan has been an important addition to schooling for Syrian refugees. Since the Syrian conflict erupted in 2011, Syrian refugees have been flooding into Jordan. Officially, the numbers are at 650,000, but unofficially it's more than double or even triple that. A large percentage of these refugees are at school age. Although Jordan has opened up its schools to refugees, dropout rates are high and figures show fewer than half complete secondary education. Here's the director of GAGE, Nicola Jones.
Even when refugee adolescents are allowed to access schooling, there are a number of challenges that make succeeding in school very difficult for them. First, transportation is expensive, but for girls in particular, this is often critical as they're at high risk of sexual harassment on the way to school. And this is a big issue in a society where girls' honour is paramount. If girls report harassment to their parents, our research highlights that they may then be barred by their parents or older brothers for attending, for fear that it could bring the family's name into disrepute. Secondly, the quality of education is often very problematic indeed. While Syrian refugees in Jordan are undoubtedly much better off than their Rohingya counterparts in that they're allowed to go to school, the quality of that schooling is generally poor. So our research findings show that even on basic reading and maths tests, that they have very low literacy and numeracy rates on average. There's then the issue of high levels of corporal punishment in boys' schools, with boys reporting often very violent forms of punishment, as well as poor quality teachers, again, especially in boys' schools, as teaching is not considered a prestigious occupation for men. And then there are very real challenges in terms of affordability. So while there is some cash for education assistance, for example, UNICEF in Jordan has the Hajati program, which provides about 10,000 families with cash stipends to encourage children to go to school. But these programs do not meet the high level of demand. And then at university level, this is even more challenging. Scholarships are very, very limited, but without which the overwhelming majority of refugees can't afford to continue in their education. And this can be very demotivating.
We have been interviewing so many families, so many people. And so
Sarah Al-Wadi again.
We know that there is so many dropout. We have been working with adolescents for years, and we have seen so many reasons for them to drop out. So many, for girls and also boys. So if we're going to talk about reasons, it's going to be child marriage, it's going to be work, it's going to be the community norms. As in, girls have to stop their education at 14 or whenever they read and write. This is what we always hear. When a girl reads and writes, she has to stop her education. We always hear from participants that if I were in Syria, I would continue my education. I will follow up my education. I will never stop it. I will get a degree. And the reason, we have different reasons. One of the biggest challenges in education in Jordan for Syrian refugees and for non-Jordanian people is expensive education. It's not provided for free, and scholarships for Syrian refugees is very low numbered, and it needs very high grades. So basically the adolescents lose hope in continuing university and getting a degree. So basically they stop early because they know they can't continue, they can't pay for a private education, and there is no sponsorship for their education. So this is one of the things that different. Their hope is being buried because of limitations. So basically, I think our gap is reaching out to all the adolescents, not a part of them, not only part of them. We need more and extra, let's say, funding to support their scholarships. I think we can say the general overview that adolescents, but they are fighting so hard to get what they do deserve. They are not weak, they are so strong, and they are looking forward for what they are planning for. They are searching for a future. School dropout is a dream killer for refugees and for adolescents refugees. It's not allowing them to build their futures. Whenever they drop out, it's the end of the curve. They can't move on after that. Their education is the key for their future, for whatever they want or they dream to be.
You've been listening to episode 2 of the GAGE podcast series, Adolescents in Crisis, Unheard Voices, where we shine a light on the stories of young people who've been forced from their homes and look at what's needed to turn their lives around. You can access